Shane here with Shanty Acres Knives and EDC, and hopefully this video that you're watching today is going to help you make a decision further down the road if you're looking at a used knife, whether it be at an auction or whether it be at a this knife was actually purchased at a knife and gun show, or it could be a garage sale, it could be a flea market or anywhere. How do you keep from overpaying? And I feel like I've got something that works for me, and I'll pass that information along. Maybe it'll help you. This is a Thompson Center, and I bought this knife at a gun and knife show. I'll show you a little bit more of a close-up of the knife and give you a little bit of information about it, and then I'll tell you exactly how I made my decision to purchase or not to purchase so that I did not overpay. This is a 3-blade Stockman, and this knife was actually laying on a table at a gun show. And first of all, when you're looking for used knives at a big event like that, they have somewhere around 400 tables at those knife shows, gun shows, I'm sorry. What I do is I just scan very quickly. I know that I'm looking for USA made stuff. I know I'm looking for traditional stuff, not tactical. And so I can go across the table pretty quick and just walk by tables, and something will catch my eye or it won't. This knife in particular, laying on the table without me even knowing what it was all closed up. It was folded and closed up. I had no idea what it was, but it caught my eye. It was something I hadn't seen before, and I was interested. So I picked it up. Well, first of all, I asked the gentleman, do you mind if I pick it up? Can I take a look? And sure, you can. And so I picked the knife up and I took a look, and I noticed right away something that you'll notice here. I noticed the TC on the blades. All 3 of the blades have TC's emblem. Now that would be the same brand emblem as Thompson Center firearms. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the knife and then tell you how I came to a decision of whether to buy or not to buy. When I told you the knife caught my attention right off the bat, and I asked permission to pick up the knife and look at it, first thing that I noticed about it that really caught my attention was the fact that it had TC, and I never heard of something with TC's name on it, not just on the blade by way of etching in for advertisement, but stamped into the tank, a tank stamp of TC. I asked the fella how much that he was asking for the knife, and he told me that he was asking $50. And that price didn't scare me. First of all, sometimes people have stuff priced so far out of my price range that I just put the knife back down and go about my business and go looking for something else. So what I did, and what you can do, and what helped me a whole bunch, was I looked the knife over. I recognized real quick it was a Stockman style, and I also noticed not only the Thompson Center stamp in the tang, I also noticed something else that I can show you here, and that was that it had on the first blade, it had 1972 written in it, USA. And then also on the third blade here, it has the number stamped in it. You probably can't see it there, but it has the number stamped in it, 535. So what I did, I took a mental note of all that. I said, thank you very much. I said, I'm interested in the knife. I'll have to think about it. And I set it back down on the table. At that time, I walked away, and in my journey of looking at all the other tables, I took some time and I stopped and I used my cell phone and I did some research on that knife. And what I found out very quickly was I wasn't finding hardly anything about it on the internet. And you know, today, with the days of AI and Google and all that, if it's out there, you're going to find it pretty quick searching it on your phone. So what I discovered, I ran across this article, and I'm showing you an image here of the article that I came across. I took a screenshot of it on my phone. And here's what that article basically said. That this knife was designed and built by a man by the name of Blackie Collins for Thompson Center in 1972, which the date is actually stamped right on there, 1972. Due to a falling out between Thompson Center and Mr. Collins, the research that I found says that these knives were never released. They were never released for continuing to manufacture. They were never released for sale out in the public. And the knife here is number 535 of an unknown number issued. I could not find anything in my research on how many were actually issued. It is considered, I did an AI research on this knife, and I found several images. They look like they were all just about the same image of the same knife, and it's considered a rare find. The blades are made of carbon steel, and the handle scales are Coca-Cola handle scales as well. It is USA made, which if it had been USA or German or some type of manufacturer like that, I was all in knowing that it was USA made knife. AI estimated the value on this only two categories. One was found at an online auction that the research found that in online auctions, these knives were able to bring $50 to $100 depending on their condition. And then one specialty website, one in really good condition, which would have been better condition than this knife is in, sold for $135. So how did I decide whether or not to buy this knife? I automatically knew, because the man was asking $50, that I was very interested. Knowing by my very, very short, brief online research, the knife was worth anywhere between $50 and $135. I also knew that it was a very rare knife. So I made my way back to the man's table. I asked him if I could take a look at the knife again. He recognized me. He remembered me. And he basically made this statement. He said, "I've had it for a long time. I've enjoyed it." He said, "It's time for someone else to enjoy it." He said, "I've never seen another one like it." It does also have brass liners in there. Just very well made knife. I picked it up and looked it over again and noticed the fit and finish was good, and the brass liners and everything looked nice on the knife. Good quality knife. And so I asked him, I said, "Well, would you take $40 for it?" And he thought on it for just a little bit, and he took the $40. I was actually going to pay probably $50 for it regardless. I was interested, but I wanted to make sure. And I think that's important, is that we don't make an impulse buy. We don't buy based on emotions or eye appeal. I wanted to make sure that I kept my purchase price below market value. And since the lowest value that I could find for this knife, and this knife actually has a chip or two in this blade, it has a few small nicks in the spay blade. It has been sharpened quite a bit where the shape's just a little distorted on this blade. And it's not in mint perfect condition. I wanted to make sure I stayed below that lowest market value or estimated market value. And so that's why I offered $40. He happily took $40, and I paid him the $40 cash, and I was excited about it. And I have since done more research about the knife online, and it is still remaining a very hard to find knife. Still remaining, all the same information is still the same on its resale value, anywhere from $50 to $150. So I felt like I made a good purchase. I haven't tried to resell it. I probably won't try to resell it for a good long time. I don't have a need or a reason to sell it. I don't need the money that I paid back out of it, so I just put it in my collection and kept it there. But I thought those on here might enjoy seeing this knife. But not only just seeing this knife, but how do I make a purchase whenever I'm looking for something and I only have a limited amount of resources to spend on my knife collection? Just don't make a hasty decision. Be willing to be patient. Don't look anxious. Don't respond to a person like, "Oh, wow, what a find. I've got to have it." That's going to make it more difficult for you to do any negotiating on price. I live in Southwest Missouri, been raised here my whole life. And I tell you, there's just something about the way something is priced that we've always known here in Southwest Missouri, that just because somebody prices something at a certain dollar amount doesn't mean that that's what they actually are willing to take. It seems like we've always had this built-in need to negotiate. that the seller will price something $5, $10, $15, $50 higher if it's a really big item, $100 higher or $500 higher on a really big item than what they actually are wanting for the item, because they have this built-in knowledge that some of us who come along and want to buy, or if I'm selling and someone who comes to me wants to buy, I'm not going to be offended. I already know that they're going to try to negotiate the price. And so most of the time there's a built-in buffer there. So just don't buy on a hasty so just don't buy something based on emotion and just pay the man right then. Take the time, walk away, do your research, educate yourself. If you do come back and find out that the knife is gone, there are two schools of thought. One, I knew I should have bought it. I knew that was a good deal, and you should have just done it. The other school of thought is, if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be, and it's not a big deal. It's a used knife. I've still got, and if I didn't purchase that knife, I walked away, I've still got my $40 in my pocket, and there are a lot of used knives out there to buy and to find. So anyway, I hope that helps you, and I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of a rundown on how I make decisions to purchase. I had mentioned in one of my videos that one of my least favorite everyday carry items is my phone, but it seems like it's something that's very necessary for us to have, and very necessary on many aspects of life. But it can become a very handy tool in the time when you're looking to make a purchase and you want to make sure you're well educated before you're spending money. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for following our channel, and we look forward to sharing more knives with you in the future. If you have made similar purchases in similar ways, or you have some comments you'd like to mention in the comments section, I invite you to certainly share with us what you do to make sure that you're buying at the right price. One of my biggest things that I want to bring out of this is try to be safe. Try to be careful with your purchase. Know this, that if you're giving premium, then all you're ever going to get out of it is hopefully premium. But if you're trying to make sure you make wise decisions, you buy below premium, below its lowest estimated market value, then you feel like at least you're in it for an amount that you can hopefully always recover your money, because you're buying an item that doesn't depreciate in value if you buy a good quality knife. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.